Good afternoon, y'all. Welcome to the Super Metroid multi-category tournament between Azo and Croakomire. Here at commentary, I've got myself, Derp, and the max percent GT legend himself, Seuss Rame. Did I pronounce that right?
That's more or less correct. Thank you for having me here.
Yep, so the category we are doing today is going to be any percent all bosses, which is in essence any percent, but including the three mini bosses we don't normally see, that being Old Torizo, Spore Spawn, and Croakomire. Those all need to be defeated. So I've been told that Croakomire may be doing some shenanigans, if you will. Not sure what that means yet, but expect some fun stuff from him. So, anything you have to add about the category, Susram?
This category actually has two routes that are commonly used. One is called the plasma route, the other called the spacer route. And theoretically speaking, the spacer route is give or take 30 seconds slower. For all I can tell, it's probably more difficult overall in terms of execution too. So it will be interesting to see what the runners are going for here.
Yeah, the most common route I've seen is sort of like a hybrid any percent route where you go Phantoon first, but then continue on to Upper Norfair, and then do Dragon Kraid, and go down to Ridley, or Kraid Dragon, whichever order. So I imagine that's what we'll see Azo do, but we don't really know when it comes to Croakomire, who actually got the 86 first series room escape, which is really nice. That's, I believe, the first possible frame you can get exiting that room.
And it's the earliest possible frame without any setups.
That is true. I believe, I don't know if Zenny discovered it, but he definitely popularized it, the .87 setup, in order to go just a frame faster. Unfortunately, Croakomire had a bit of trouble with that last series room, but both runners having a decent series. And now we are on to Zebes. The big interesting thing to look out for early game is whether the runners decide to do Spore Spawn first or Spore Spawn last. I believe Spore Spawn last is technically faster, but the world record does do Spore Spawn first, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. Spore Spawn last is a so-called plasma route because with plasma you can one round spore spawn with out the east, whereas the world record currently actually uses the spacer route, which is by Zost. It is, as I mentioned before, it is technically slower, but more. Personally, I think it's more fun to look at, and I won't be surprised to see. But for a race setting, I won't be surprised to see both runners pick the plasma route. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. If they are opting to do Spore Spawn first, they will have to do a fairly difficult Spore Spawn fight. It is fairly easy to 2-round with missiles and super missiles, but there's a chance they don't even go after that super missile pack and just pick up the one behind Spore Spawn, which would make the fight very difficult with just missiles. We will have to see. There's a lot of options. Many of these runners haven't done all bosses as much as other categories, so we might see a lot of different routes.
Now they officially heading to the what I consider to be the beginning part of the speed run, because from here and on everything is pretty much very different.
Yeah, there isn't any divergence until right before Brinstar, no matter what route you do. So I guess there's a couple like meme routes that do some extra stuff in the early game, but for the most part, you're going to be seeing the same thing for the first 5 minutes of the run, no matter what.
And ironically, these 5 minutes are some of the hardest segments to optimize with suitless Samus. I mean, with bare minimum equipment.
Yeah, this room in particular, the climb, is actually deceptively difficult. It is a place where even the top runners often lose quite a bit of time, because if you miss any wall jumps or ledge grabs, you can be set pretty far behind. Both runners had a bit of trouble getting through the room, but they are pretty even heading into bombs. Of course, even if they were playing on POW, where Bomb Torizo skip is technically humanly possible, they do have to fight Bomb Torizo. It is part of the bosses, so you won't be seeing anyone skip that.
Not that they can, but
I think both runners are playing on NTSC, so it doesn't matter, but it is something to mention.
Croak, I think he got a little bit trolled on the drops there. You want me to drop a good amount of missiles in order to kill him with the one cycle, but he wasn't. He didn't have as much resources, so he lagged behind a little bit. But Azo actually struggling with one of the hardest strats to learn in the early game, the Alcatraz escape. He broke head.
Yeah, the Alcatraz escape is one of the tricks that gives new runners a lot of trouble, and Azo may have had a bit of a hiccup there, but he's all right.
There just went for a pretty cool strat, de-boosting from Terminator room into next room. That could have been a frame saver possibly, but he didn't get through the first pirate with his iframe, so that turned out to be slower. And one interesting thing to notice is that Azo actually decided to use missiles on the pirate first green pirates, conserving his health, whereas Croak chose to just run through them as in any other as in old route. This may or may not indicate some route divergence, but we'll see.
Yeah, usually missiling the pirates means the runner is planning on going up to the wrecked ship first, since you don't want to take too much damage when early fighting Fantoon. So that is a possible route for Azo, whereas Croakomire is most likely going down since he took the damage. We will see, though.
Croak really wanted that missile far to the left, costing him a second there, but and we see the unlikely route that we were talking about earlier, the world record route, which as you made, the early sports spawn fight from Croak. So this might be the Spacer route.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to be doing Spore Spawn first. So this is going to be a pretty interesting fight. People who don't have as much experience with Randomizer may not be used to seeing this fight with just ammo, but it's fairly interesting. So what Croakomire wants to do is hit Spore Spawn with a missile and a super missile one round and 2 super missiles the other round. So that will be a nice 2-round Spore Spawn. And every additional round will cost him about 13 seconds, assuming he can kill Spore Spawn on that round. So it is a very costly fight to mess up, but it looks like Croakomire's got this under control. Oh, doesn't quite get the 2-round. Couldn't get both shots in, but didn't use his super, so it's going to be a 3-round, which is all right for a race.
In the meantime, Azo heading up Red Tower. So this is a standard redshift first route. It's done in like most other any percents, and this indeed is a route divergence we are talking about. This will make it difficult to gauge who's really ahead, and also by how much. But the divergences are always fun to watch. Just double the amount of strats that you get to enjoy.
Yeah, we won't really know who's ahead until G4, assuming Azo's going to Spore Spawn last. So that is going to make things a bit interesting to watch. But we'll see how it turns out.
The characteristic of Azo's route, one of the first major difficulties that runners will face is crossing the moat, which by now has become a rather standard trick in many categories. Well, it's for many people because it's been in 80% for so long. But this might be a point where he can choke some time. So let's see.
Yeah,
those were an in-room setup, which is as you saw that jump he just nailed. That's frame perfect. And he needs to follow that up with another frame perfect setup. If he's frame perfect wall jump, if he's doing the in-room setup, but he doesn't quite get it. He's gonna opt for in-room again. Pedestal, it might be more worthwhile to try the HBJ across, but it's as of falling in the water, it's actually more tricky, way trickier than it looks. The bomb jumps.
Yeah, so the wall jump you saw him attempt is, I believe, a 2-frame or a 1-frame window into a 2-frame window,
yeah,
or a 2-frame window into a 1-frame.
It's a 1-frame to 2-frame if you are going from the other room, but if you're doing the in-room setup, it's actually double frame perfect.
Yeah, meanwhile, this bomb jump isn't frame perfect, but is fairly tricky. There's a lot of inputs you need to do to make it work, and Azo might not be as comfortable with it. So he's going to lose a good amount of time here.
We should also remember that, as we talked earlier, the Spazer route, which Croak is doing... wait, I'm getting myself confused. So Croak did early Sports Maha. So that route is supposedly 30 seconds slower compared to theory tasks. So maybe this hiccup Azo having right now might just end up balancing out the times. And Croak going for... Okay, Croak went for the safe setup for quick kill, which is the charge beam setup. That knocks Krait's mouth in position, across in position. So he can do the quick kill very easy, but he choked a little bit. But they're a pretty nice recovery stand up Krait. That probably cost him rather minimal time. And as Croak gets his various suit, Azo managed to cross the moat, so both runners are going.
Yep, it took him a little bit, but Azo did get the CWJ across the moat, and now he is on to Fantoon. I believe in Zosti's world record all bosses run, he actually did new route with Spore Spawn first, where Croakomire is doing old route with Spore Spawn first. So, assuming the times are similar, old route loses about 2 minutes to new route when both are performed optimally. You can't assume optimal movement, obviously, but without insane RNG, it's about 90 seconds faster, I believe. I'm not sure how accurate that is anymore. But so Croakomire theoretically is doing a 2-minute slower route over the theory task. So we'll see if the time he's gaining from having an easier route will be enough to stay ahead of Azo, who had some trouble getting to Fantoon.
And the route and the time save actually is justified, the time save of Azo's route, by this very difficult early wreck ship sequence where he has to do the crossing the moat and has to fight Fantoon with minimum equipment. But I think he's gonna get a 2-round. He missed. Yeah, he missed one missile. One missile got eaten by the Fade, I think. on the opening of the second round. So Az almost had the hardest fight, but he has to sit through this enrage sequence, which happens if you fail to kill Phantom with a super. Roughly 60 seconds. Presumably punished with a slow pattern, which is 12 seconds.
Yeah, so overall about 30 seconds of time lost from that mistake, but still a nice fight. Didn't take too much damage, and is going to be continuing through the wrecked ship. Meanwhile, Croakomire just going through these early Upper Norfair rooms. Not too much to note. We'll see if he decides to do Croakomire now or later. Technically, most runs do Croakomire on their way down to Lower Norfair, but I wouldn't put it past Croak to do Croakomire early and use some grapple strats.
That's totally possible. And he's going to have to climb the Bubble Mountain here, which is, I think, in this personally, it's one of the trickier rooms in this Upper Norfair segment. Because the Cack attack on top actually can snipe you down very easily. That's many seconds lost here, but Croak gets up with ease. And Azo handling one of the more, it might be one of the most complicated rooms in all of Super Metroid, the attic. There are countless strats you can do here. He went for the standard powerbomb into the standard powerbomb strat used in any percent, the optimal any percent. Pretty smooth.
Yeah, well done by Azo. He's coming up to another fairly difficult part of early wreck ship, that is bowling. He can only take 3 hits from the spikes, which he needs to jump across. So if he misses his jump, he would be in danger, but it looks like he's gonna get by in 2 jumps.
That was scarier than it needed to be, but well done.
Yeah, doing that room with above 180 health means you can take 4 hits, or you can take 3 hits from the spikes before dying, so it's not too scary, but if you enter with less, you can only take 2 hits, which can get a little bit sketchy. You saw Azo almost missing that last jump and taking a 3rd hit, which if he had less health would have been bad, but he's through just fine.
And grabbing this gravity suit, this will allow him to dive into Meridia early, because that's really the only thing that prevents any movement in Meridia. But before that, he will have to visit Upper Norfair, which is Croakomire's in right now. And that's a cool deep from Croakomire. Never seen that. And then we assume that Azo will actually be heading to fighting Dragon next.
Yeah, just to clarify, Azo wants to go to Upper Norfair in order to pick up more movement items and weapons. He wants the high jump boots and speed booster, as well as the wave beam in order to do X factors for certain bosses.
I think Croak is actually going for the unlikely route choice here. That is Croakomire early.
Yeah, like I said. You said he was gonna do something fancy, and looks like we found it.
This is a very interesting route choice. It is unorthodox. You don't see it very often, and Croak is definitely giving us a show. But he's doing this at a cost of time. Doing Croakomire later, it is I believe it's faster due to having plasma and due to the fact that you basically have to go through this portion of the game anyway when you're heading to Lower Norfair. So at the cost of some time, Croak is giving us putting up a show for us.
He also gets the added benefit of being able to get power bombs slightly earlier if he opts to pick those up. Looks like he's going to go for a spike suit. Wonder what he's going to do with that if he gets it, which he does.
That's a 2-frame here, frame perfect input strat. Rather difficult.
Yep, but he has the benefit of having a permanent Shine Spark stored that he can use anytime. We'll see when he decides to do that.
Doesn't use it here, Shine Spark into a power up. Never mind. That's the most expected place to use it, but still cool to see.
I don't know if that was intentional, but that is where he is going to use it. And like I said, he's gonna... I wonder if he's doing full suitless Meridia.
He's going for grapple, which is not an item essential in this category at all. But let's see what he has to offer. I'm excited to see.
Yep, he's gonna have the grapple beam. Not sure what he's gonna do with it yet, but he does have it.
Is very for anyone who's not familiar with this category, picking up a grapple beam is not something you see ever. 80% all losses.
Yeah, grapple beam isn't really required. Usually what you see people do is just enter Croakomire and kill him with the plasma beam and then immediately leave and go down to lower Norfair. But with this, Croakomire decided to pick up extra items behind Croc, and one of those items was the grapple beam, which will help him theoretically do suitless Meridia. There's a couple other things that he might use it for, but I don't want to spoil anything yet.
In the meantime, Azul is having a very, very clean upper Norfair segment. No hiccups. All the rooms went pretty smooth, and he's actually in a similar area to as Croak, so they are in similar stages of the game, and Azul actually has Phantom defeated. So at this moment I will assume Azul is ahead, just due to the way Ralph works. But let's see how it goes.
Yeah, as a small side note, something that some people might not know is that actually mockballing down that room where you get to Speed Booster is actually faster than running without arm pumping by a few frames. So you'll see Behemoth do it, for example, because he can't arm pump as well, since he has one of the angle buttons set to dash, I believe. So that's why we see Azo mockballing down that room. Alright, Croakomire not going into Meridia just yet. He has Grapple Beam, but I don't know where he's going to use it yet. My thought was actually that he would use it to do Bowling Skip, but I don't think you can do that without X-Ray.
No, you cannot, and he doesn't have the correct ammo to even perform a CF right now. Oh, but I think he's going down to get more power ups. Oh, never mind. So that having grapple won't really help him anyway in wreck ship, but it must have its uses. Otherwise, he won't be picking it up. Yeah.
So
I'm also coming down to visit Croakomire early, it seems. That's interesting. Most of the matches I've seen so far actually give Croak to later. But
yeah, did he pick up Spacer and Ice Beam?
I actually don't think so. He is in the standard KPDR item set right now for cross gravity.
Yeah, so he might just be getting it out of the way. Might not have as much experience with the route.
That's a possibility.
But anyways, to answer chat while we have a bit of downtime, Bowling Skip is a method to get gravity without watching the bowling cutscene. So there is a gray door that after you get gravity, it drops you into the ocean. And using Grapple Beam, you can clip into the wall below the door, and then using a Crystal Flash and X-Ray, you can X-ray climb up into the door transition block, which would allow you to pick up gravity without going through wreck ship, essentially. It's a bit more technical than that, but it doesn't really matter since we aren't going to see it.
Now Croakomire fighting Phantom, and since he went to Open Worker first and got a bunch of items, in particular Wave Beam, you'll be seeing likely a different strategy on Phantom. That is, the him not having Super Missile actually missed him up there. He wanted to swap to Power Bomb and perform this special kind of attack called X Factor, but not having Super Missile actually messed up his timing. But he followed up with a pretty good Doppler. I think that was a six missile Doppler in the first round. This should be a pretty comfy 3 round if he gets it right. Oh, he actually doesn't have Super Missile, so it will be a little more difficult.
Yeah, he's been really hoping for Super Missile drops from Phantoon, but he did not get any.
Yeah, and on Azel's screen, I genuinely don't really know what's happening. He's getting grapple beam too.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he's getting grapple beam.
I think both runners were going for shenanigans after all.
It may have been a mutual agreement for both runners to pick up grapple beam.
Yeah, I think we've heard. I think I've seen that somewhere. Some match in the last week. Everyone has had a mutual agreement. But anyway, this might just mean that there's probably nothing that cool that they're going to be performing with grapple. It's just like an agreement kind of thing, which will be sad. So we'll see. And where Azel's going to head to is also a question. Looks like he's going to exit North Air, so he's still sticking with his Dragon second route, I suppose.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame that Croakomire isn't using any grapple strats in the attic. There's actually a lot of fun things you can do with that.
That's very correct. Especially with his item set, having grapple actually helps a good bit with item collection and just gaining iframes from the electricity to run across the enemies on the ground and things like that. So slightly disappointed, but maybe he has more things in store for us. And I want to note that because he has Speed Booster, Croakomire is actually performing the Body Spark. But he doesn't quite get the charge, so he's going to try to run across, which is actually more difficult, I personally believe, because he has high jump boots.
Yeah, doing the getting across bowling with only 2 spike hits is actually a lot more difficult with high jump and speed booster. But Croakomire has plenty of extra HP. I'm also not sure if he didn't stop his spark on purpose just to kill the little enemy above the bridge there, but we won't talk about that.
I completely missed that.
Also,
that was a successful quick kill that you saw on Azel's screen. If you do it optimally, the screen doesn't scroll and it doesn't stand up. So at least in this both runners picking up suits simultaneously. This is a sight.
Yeah, a small thing to note is that Azo did opt to do Kraid before Dragon. It is, I believe, single-digit frames slower, but it really just comes down to personal preference, whether or not you want to do Dragon or Kraid first in this route. So Azo just going to opt for Kraid.
That's reasonable. Doing Dragon before Kraid it's faster only because Kraid's layer is actually a perfect place to refill ammo with virtually no RNG. because the mini crate actually has more than guaranteed super drops. But it's still essentially it's still a standard plasma route. So
Yeah, Azo still doing a pretty normal route. Meanwhile, Croakomire, I believe he's also about to head to Meridia. He has just finished up a wrecked ship, so he will be actually pretty close to Azo very shortly.
that's right, huh?
Yeah, he's only about a minute or so behind, and he has Spore Spawn done already, so he might actually be in the lead.
And I missed how he just sneaked up there. You're right. They both just entered Meridia, and Croak does have one extra boss down. On the left hand side, on Azel's screen, you're gonna see the first use of the X Factor, which is a special kind of beam combo. He used where 4 particles spawn just out of nowhere and try to hit, and you can kind of control their manipulation, control their trajectory with Samus's movement. Azel actually did a very cool setup there to kill bot in 1 round. That's called a so-called decal setup. 4 particles to hit an enemy for you to be able to, or disappear for you to be able to use your ammo. So X factors are very, very powerful, but it's very costly to mess up.
Croakomire actually doesn't have a power bomb, so he can't do any X factors, so his fight's gonna be a bit slower. He's actually pretty low health, so he has to be careful. We'll see.
I wonder if he just forgot to farm one of the crabs in pre-aqueduct.
Looks like it.
Azel actually, yeah. He got close to getting the full happy, but he did a diagonal spark, and if you have to maneuver through Colosseum, which is a huge room he was in just now, it's actually quite tricky because the sand can catch Samus fairly easily. And as well as enter Dragon, which, since he's standing on the left, I suppose he's going to do this behemoth setup, the rain dance. So he's manipulating these 4 particles to move in a particular manner so as to strike Dragon's belly simultaneously. I think the particles he was able to control particles pretty well, but he up-sparked. And I believe Shine Sparking does, on average, about like 2,000 damage to Dragon, I think. I may be incorrectly that number, but that was a good amount of damage that Azel just missed out.
Yeah, so Dragon actually has multiple hitboxes, and so the optimal spark is to spark around her forehead, where you hit her chest hitbox and her head hitbox. And if you do it optimally, it does about 2,000 damage. And with Azo's up spark, he only did about maybe 200 or 300, so he missed out on a lot of opening damage there. But it looks like his particles were very good, so it isn't as bad as it could be.
And with this much low health, he's gonna be going for the ammo kill. If he kills Dragon with a Shine Spark, there's a good chance. Well, with a low health Dragon, there's a good chance Samus will remain inside her hitbox after her death animation. In which case, something called the chain damage can happen. And with this low health, Azel should be risking it.
For Croakomire, looks like he didn't get as good of an opening, but is getting some nice sparks into Dragon now. And Dragon is down for Croak, so he is straight up ahead of Azo now.
Yeah. This is just undisputed. Yeah, I mean, a rather unfortunate fight. The animals, he has some issues. He has some struggles with protecting the animals, and the animal kill kind of got prolonged a little bit. So he did lose a rather significant amount of time there, but still, I say 20 minutes of gameplay, 20 minutes plus of gameplay left. So I say it's not insurmountable yet.
No, I agree completely, but it is definitely an uphill battle for Azza, who, remember, still needs to go fight Spore Spawn. Well, Croakomire has already done that.
The Azza will have the plasma beam, which you see Croakomire heading west in that room. They're going to get the plasma beam, and that actually allows Spore Spawn to be defeated, as we mentioned earlier at the beginning of the race, fairly easily. One round is rather trivial, so he's not going to lose as much time due to having Spore Spawn still alive, but he definitely is behind at this moment. How he catches up. Oh, Croakomire goes for at least the attempt for a Plasma Spark, which is a for all I know, it's a 7 free. You have 7 frames of leeway compared to like tasks, and you can save 1 second by doing a spark in that vertical room. Croak went for it. Unfortunately, didn't get it, but cool to see the possibility.
Yeah, and there's one more small note on Spore Spawn. He has 960 HP, I believe. So each super missile does 300, missile do 100. The fully decked out beam combo does 900 normally, but charge shots actually do double damage to Spore Spawn, so it'll do 1800 to him. So that is why you're able to kill him in one hit with the charge beam. If I remember correctly, the reason that is because your normal charge beam with no other beams does 60 damage. So 120 damage to Spore Spawn, which means he will die in exactly 7 charge shots.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that comes up often when we talk about game designs in Super Metroid, because the developer probably intended for you to use your charge beam like early on in the game, since you pick the beam up and you hit your Spore Spawn. And on Croakomire's side, I think that this is the ultimate shenanigan he was talking about. They're actually going to get one of the best items, one of the best movement items in the game, although very, very costly in terms of time to get it. That is a Spring Ball. This is another unorthodox route choice. No one's gonna ever do this today. Yeah, okay, and Azo's going to the right side too, so it indeed is a. Never mind me. They wasted all that time to head to the right side of Meridia, and they just all they do is kill Shack 2. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed. If they spend so much time to go get there anyway, they might as well pick up a Spring Ball. I'm saddened.
Yeah, it looks like these were the shenanigans we were promised. Both runners actually picked up the grapple beam because they weren't comfortable with the ice clip, possibly. So they wanted to get to Shack Tool easier. Looks like Azo's even going to spend some extra time doing a little dance.
Just teasing there.
He's going to kill him again.
Wait, he's...
Yeah, interestingly, Shack Tool actually doesn't take damage from charge shots. So even though he will be damaged by the plasma beam, he won't be damaged by plasma charge shots. It's the same with the Meridia Space Pirates, actually. They are killed with 2 plasma wave shots, but the charge beam does not do damage to them, I believe. Well, after we've seen some, after the Shack Tool Chronicles there, we see Croakomire being the first to get the Ice Beam, which would be the other item they would use to get to Shack Tool, but looks like they both opted to get Grapple instead.
It would be a pretty big time save if one of them learned the Ice Clip over the other. But this is a fair game. I don't remember if Croak has Croc killed earlier. So you see that Croak laying a Parlum here. This is the southern route, as we call it, because there are actually two ways you can go to. You can head to lower north entrance. From Ice Beam, you either head right or you head down. And when you hit, and both routes are roughly the same speed. South route is, I hear, 0.5 seconds slower. And you see that here, Croakomire is actually crossing the entrance to Croakomire. So it actually makes perfect sense to kill Croc now, because they actually have the plasma beam. And with plasma beam, Croakomire can be one shot.
Yeah, I believe the southern route is actually half a second faster with the.
I mean faster.
Yeah, with the moonfall in this room that we see Azo in, it makes it a little bit faster. But other than that, they are very comparable, and it really comes down to runner's preference. One of the big advantages of Northern Route actually is that you don't need to use a power bomb. So for runners that aren't as good at the fast pillar strategy, they aren't required to farm extra power bombs if they miss fast pillars.
So this is an interesting side route divergence. So Croakomire decided to head right and to perform the green gate glitch with two supers. This is sketchy. This is frame green gate glitch. If you do the setup Croak is doing right now, that's 1 frame. It's a frame perfect trick. If you do the running setup, it has a chance to be 2 frames. And so this route thing, I did some testing earlier, and if you head to the acid stat, so the intended way to get to Golden Torizo, which is the next mini boss, is from the elevator. So Azo is coming down. If you head to the left, there's an acid statue in the left room, and the intended path is to go there and drain the acid, and you can just comfortably, nothing difficult, and you just comfortably end up in GT's room. This path is give or take 10 seconds slower than the green gate route that Azo is doing right now, which he gets first try. So he's saving 10 seconds by route choice alone. But Croakomire having to backtrack and head to the acid statue, that's a pretty major time loss. So Azo, despite doing all the shenanigans and even spending extra time track towards that, on screen at least, it's actually pretty bad. It's actually a pretty bad risk to take if you have no supers, because 10 seconds is pretty small. And Azo and this mini boss, Golden Torizo, is in my opinion one of the easiest bosses to fight. He is probably the most. If you just talk of ballistics, he's probably the most kind of stronger than Ridley, honestly. But there is a safe spot you can stand, and from there all you have to do is spam charged plasma shots, and GT will die in no time.
Looks like Croakomire is also picking up the GT supers, so just another fun little item. And I imagine we see both runners pick up Screw Attack, since it is just such a good item to have, and since you're here anyways, I would imagine they pick it up.
Yeah, having Screw Attack in particular saves a good amount of time in the next room and a couple other rooms. So having Screw Attack allows, let's say, Azo to do that space jump strat in pillars, but it basically doesn't save too much time, because Screw Attack doesn't really benefit you in terms of movement, but it just makes Samus really strong. But certain room strategies you can perform with Screw Attack will end up making it faster, probably by a couple seconds. And it's just infinitely easier to have it anyway. So
yeah, Screw Attack does just straight up save time in some rooms, such as a few of the rooms in the Lower Norfair Escape. You can actually just jump through enemies with Screw Attack instead of having to dodge around them.
You see Azo killing 2 Kite Hunters in that vertical room. Kite Hunters all move off screen, and enemies that move off screen, their presence will cause lag when you use Power Bomb. And in that particular room, there are 3 Kite Hunters moving off screen, and you see Croakomire killing I think 2 of them. And Opti use bombs, so it doesn't get any benefit from the, or gets half the benefit from the lag reduction. But those enemies that move off screen will add immense lag to power bomb explosions. In that particular room, if you kill the two pirates, you actually save 3 seconds.
Yeah, that room is very laggy. Even when you kill all of the key hunters, there is still a bit of lag from power bombs. Yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, with the better lower Norfair movement, Azo has actually picked up a pretty solid lead on Croakomire, but remember that he still does need to kill Spore Spawn, so it is very close.
So in the middle pirate room, you saw interesting strat divergence as Azo went for the plasma kill of the 2 middle pirates, which is faster supposedly, but messed up a little bit. So Croak actually went for the new route way of doing it, which is using Shine Spark Echoes, which is pretty cool to see as well. This Rady fight, I think, is one of the hardest boss fights to just straight up optimize, because Rady's AI is separate from his Tails AI, so it's actually very hard to predict what he's going to do. There's a lot of randomness. In this category, you only have to shoot Rady 20 shots to kill him, so it's a short fight. Room time often is roughly 40 seconds, and you're only fighting Rady for like 25 seconds. But it's still very hard to optimize just because how random Rady moves.
You see Azo picking up that Ridley E-Tank. That is a place where Croakomire could theoretically save time, because he picked up the Great Tank, so he already has 4 E-Tanks. And it looks like he's going to skip it, so there's another little bit of time save that Croakomire has.
Two door transitions and the fanfare, that's probably like 17 seconds. They're only apart by 1 room now, 2 rooms.
Yeah, the Ridley E-Tank is technically slightly faster than the Great E-Tank, I believe, but it is fairly close.
I can imagine. So Azo will be attempting a cool speedball. Doesn't. Okay, let's see if Croak. Okay, Croak. That's a problem. Is too low. That problem is too low. Let's see if he'll try again. There's a cool speedball you can do here that saves 4 seconds if he gets it, which he does. There's 4 seconds over Azo's strategies, and Azo actually had some trouble laying a bomb there. Okay. I suppose he was trying to use screw attack to break the bomb without, but that area is very narrow and confined, and it's actually really hard to do a spin jump to activate your screw attack. So that actually allowed Croakomire to basically catch up.
Yeah, between that and picking up the E-Tank, Croakomire and Azo are actually in the same room again.
Croak. Okay. Sorry. He had to fire a power bomb. The reason being, in this room, in the next room, which is Bubble Mountain, there's a shortcut you can take by using power bomb, saving a few seconds. And that dragon enemy that Croakomire killed has a more or less reliable source of power bomb drops. These dragons or the multi violas are actually pretty good sources. But farming there, as you see, Azo used the power bomb to open up that little path to head straight down. Pretty essential shortcut.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting that Croakomire opted to farm that dragon there instead of the one in the room right before Bubble Mountain. But either way, he did get his power bomb.
And he's probably slightly ahead after all, so he can take some strange options and still run away with it.
Yeah, I think Azo needs Croakomire to have a pretty bad Turian, actually. Because remember, he still needs to go fight Spore Spawn.
Nice. So even with full equipment, actually, let's see if Croakomire heads up. Yeah, so having Spore Spawn Bast basically forces Samus to get to G4 via the green restart way. Now that is slightly slower. The optimal path to G4 is actually via Meridia, as Croakomire is doing right now. So there's just a bit of rallying that contributes to time loss too. Croak actually doing a vertical shine spark, and he just wants Azo to catch up now. He's doing a bunch of wacky things.
Yeah. Looks like he's not gonna kill the fish this time. I know that's another maybe popular thing that we see some of the dank memers of the community do in races.
Yeah. Croak is probably one of them, but...
Oh, absolutely.
This room Azo's in right now, one of the absolute hardest rooms to optimize in this category, the vertical climb. I think that's the stream.
Yeah, the stream lagged a bit.
I guess we won't be able to. We don't get to see the action in that room, but that pink room is going from bottom to top is very, very hard to optimize movement-wise. And now we have the Spore Spawn fight. Going for a slow spark. I don't know if that was it. That probably wasn't. That probably wasn't. Slow spark is very much a task strat, a task maneuver you can do, where you gain a shine, which is a permanent. Okay, he's going for it again. Doesn't get it. It's really, really, really difficult. You have to perform a D boost to get Samus into the ground a little bit, then do a similar thing like the spike suit. That allows you to get a permanent shine spark suit, which in this category can make you skip the baby. It allows you to do a baby skip in a slightly faster manner. It's entirely swag. I actually have never seen anyone get it in a run. So
yeah, Croaky was doing some practice of the strat before the race, so I assumed he would go for it, but it is as you said, pretty much task only at present, so I don't expect anybody to be getting it.
Well, nice swag suit by Croakomire in G4. And now Azo's getting the same room as Croakomire. I don't know how long the G4 cutscene lasts, so I can't really gauge the... I'm not really able to gauge the how much Croak is ahead by, but since G4 is a pretty lengthy cutscene, so Croak is ahead by a good bit.
If I remember correctly, this might not be right, but it's like 45 seconds at least, so Croakomire about 40-ish seconds ahead of Azo? If that's true. Let's see, he entered Metroid Room 1 at 52:32, so we'll see when Azo does.
And I want to say that Turian is usually, if you from entering G4 to end, it's roughly super optimally hundo. It's roughly 6 minutes and 30 seconds, but you're probably looking at like 7 minutes, 7:30-ish times from G4 to end of game. But majority of that time is spent in cutscenes and just transitions, waiting for G4. So the only source of movement really is these 4 Metroid rooms and just some minor gray area. So that time loss, the 50 seconds or so, is actually really hard to salvage.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be about 50 seconds exactly, with Azo entering at about 53:19. Remember that he had to turn off Screw Attack as well in order to do the Zeb skip easier, so Croakomire did that earlier, so yeah, it's about 45-ish seconds, the cutscene.
Croak actually damaging himself down. I don't know if he'll damage below 300. If he does, that means Probably foregoing the baby. Okay, he's still going. Yeah, he's foregoing it. Pretty safe option, honestly, given that he's ahead. It's faster to damage yourself down and intentionally fail the baby skip than attempt the baby skip like in a roundabout manner and get that. Croakomire is still probably comfortably ahead, but that is a time loss for him. So Azo, if he gets this skip, the 2 will be that's probably like 20 seconds saved already.
Yeah, Azo actually got pretty lucky in that last Metroid room. He entered with 7 super missiles and got all of the ones he needed from the last Metroids, so he has 2010 now.
Nice. You see Azo going for a baby skip. Oh, is that gonna be a 6 jump? Okay, he did one extra for safety, but that was a very solid baby skip.
Croakomire failed the speed zip skip. He's gonna get the backup though, so he's just fine.
That's another cool, the Shine Spark zip skip. Another cool strat that we don't see much anymore because if you have screw attack equipped, it's actually the normal ice clip is not reviable, so the speed clip may have been mainstream, but nowadays the downback skip has kind of taken over it in popularity. Because the skip slightly slower. Azo's super missile was sniped, but thankfully, he had 2010. So he'll finish the run.
Yeah, this is really close. Azo only about 15 seconds behind now, and that could theoretically be made up in the escape.
Just a Mother Brain 3 fight in general.
Yeah, synced Mother Brain 2 fights is actually really impressive for a race, especially one that was... It's going to be about an hour for both runners. See Croakomire showing off some grapple swag while getting lasered. He can actually die here if he's not careful.
He probably got a little occupied there, forgot to damage himself down below 400 before Rainbow being custody. So Mother Brain had to deal some extra time to get him below 100. That's a few seconds lost there. So you see Azo perfectly at 89. So Mother Brain doesn't have to do anything extra. And 2 babies attacking Mother Brains at the same time in a race is indeed impressive.
Actually, so both runners got the good Mother Brain cutscene. You can tell by Mother Brain's right foot, it is slightly ahead of the back wall instead of slightly clipping into it. So both runners got that 2-second time save. That's really interesting. Yeah, Azo...
Yeah.
Maybe 10 seconds behind. I think a little bit less now, actually.
We're revived at the 16-second mark, and for Azo, it's gonna be 26. So yeah, exactly 10 seconds separating the 2. The escape, if you just count the number of seconds of execution, world record only moves damage for about 41 seconds. So 10 seconds is still a pretty big deficit to make up, but it's not insurmountable. Azo can totally come back from this.
Croakomire is missing a few shots on Mother Brain 3 though, so if Azo has a cleaner Mother Brain 3, he can narrow that down even further. Looks like he is also missing some shots though.
They are both standing very close to Mother Brain. If you shoot close to Mother Brain, it really comes out the bag because the beam is on screen for a shorter amount of time, but it also makes the fight trickier. It's absolutely easiest to just stay really far from Mother Brain and do the fight. And Croak has to escape.
Starting to escape at 58.25. Looks like Azo's going to start at about
35, I suppose, or 36. Either way, it will be a sub-hour run for both runners, but let's see how this end sequence plays out.
Yeah, I think Croakomire should have it, but there are a couple spots in Escape that can lose you a lot of time if you mess them up. He isn't going for the Moonfall, so that's about 1.5 second loss.
Azo has some hiccup in the entering this build actually.
Yeah, Azo gets hit by that pirate, loses about as much time, I think, and Croakomire bonks on the escape start.
Bonk a second time.
Azo gets the spark, first try.
Yeah, very close.
I think Croakomire's got it there.
Are you gonna save the animals? No, Croak doesn't save the animals, so he's gonna. I think he's got this. GG Croakomire, GG.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Croakomire has donned in first place with a time of 59 minutes and 44 seconds. And Azo in second place with a time of 59 minutes and 50 seconds. So only a 6-second difference in the end. GG to both of our runners.
GG Azo as well. Fantastic race. Oh, and he even has had a few words of greens. That's a word.
Yeah, that is definitely the closest race of the tournament. Apparently the previous closest was one more second apart, so 7 seconds. Yeah, what a way to do it.
Yeah. And both runners making the category longer than usual by pick up grapple and even position shack tool, and in the end it just balanced out.
Yeah, you think?
Close race.
You think Azo went back?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking to myself. Yeah, the shack tool, Azo actually engaged the shenanigans more, but that came back to bite him. I don't know how he feels about that, but as long as he's content, it's all for memes anyway.
Yeah, sometimes memes is the most important part, and Azo definitely won in that regard. And so that is, I assume, gonna do it for us. It doesn't look like either runner is gonna come in for an interview. I need to mark them done first. We'll see. But after this, we actually have 3 races coming up at 6 p.m. I'd have to pull up a spreadsheet to see exactly who it is, but there's a lot of races happening today.
Yeah, which is slightly unfortunate, but you won't be able to probably enjoy everything, all the races. But they will be uploaded to YouTube, as far as I know, the footages. So plenty of racers to choose to watch in the next 2 hours.
Yeah, so those races, it looks like there's actually only going to be 2 at 6 p.m. One of them apparently got canceled, I'm hearing, but we have on SpeedGaming, we have Andrew versus French Lightning John, and on SpeedGaming 2, we have Maniacal versus Enmit. And I know for that second race, both runners have agreed to run 100%. So if you are interested in seeing that, then you know where to go.
100% is a cool category to watch. 80% all boss is 100% similarly has route divergences, and if you haven't watched it, definitely tune into that because that category has some sick text.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that is going to do it for us.
Yeah. Well, thank you for co-commenting with me, TG. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Be sure to send everyone involved to follow both of our lovely runners, and mostly lovely commentators. Stream's pretty lovely. I don't know about me. I'm kind of weird. But regardless, we will see you in about 2 hours.